What you are listening to is real. The parties involved are not cool. They are actual geeks with a case pending in the court of public opinion. The party's case has been dismissed, and the dispute will be settled here on our podcast. There will be no lawyers. There will be no witness testimony. The judge's decisions are final.
Hello, I'm Judge Ivan.
I'm Judge Jonathan, and this is Geeks on Trial. Today's case, the beat goes off.
Welcome to Geeks on Trial. This is the podcast where we settle petty disputes between actual geeks over movies, video games, board games, and more. If you'd like to submit your own geeky case for a future episode, you can email us at geeksontrial@gmail.com. You can also support the show over at patreon.com/geeksontrial for just a few bucks a month, and you'll gain early access to both our audio and video episodes before they're released to the general public.
It's such a great way to help us out and show that you care about the geeks on trial.
Yep, give us your money.
Ivan, hey, did you know, were you aware?
That's not my last name.
It's not Ivan Hay?
Not Ivan Hay.
This explains so much why my mail hasn't been getting to you.
That's weird. Don't mail me things.
I have sent you packages, letters. Mainly those two things have been the main things I've been mailing you.
Well, what else would you mail?
Oh, there's plenty of other things you can mail. Anyway, did you know the summer movie season has begun?
What? I did, yeah.
Now, I know we've had some disagreement on the show. You take issue sometimes with when the summer begins.
Right, because, I like to believe in calendar years. But the box office thinks summer begins December 3rd.
Summer is a state of mind, baby. Summer is whenever you want it to be.
Well, especially when they decide that in California. They don't know. It's always summer.
It's always summer over there. So, the movies are out in full force. Is there anything out there you've seen lately that you want to chat about before we get to today's case?
Let me think. The new Evil Dead movie I want to talk about.
Wow. I'd love to talk about that with you.
Okay.
You're talking about Evil Dead Rise.
Yes.
Which is the newest Evil Dead film in the Evil Dead franchise from a director who I should have looked up, but I don't remember who it is. I just know it's not Sam Raimi, and it's not Fede, the other guy.
Keep talking for a minute. I got it for you.
who did the last Evil Dead remake, which came out in 2013. This is a brand new director, and it's a brand new sequel-ish to the other movies.
Lee Cronin?
Yeah, Lee Cronin.
Cronin.
Great. Yeah.
That's who directed it. Don't know who
That's
that is.
who directed it. Everybody knows now. We're great at researching.
Yep.
We do our jobs here at Geeks on Trial.
That's how blind we like to go into a movie. We don't want to know who directed it, who was in it, where it's playing. I just show up.
I could have just said Evil Dead Rise, and nobody would have questioned it if I didn't mention the director.
Right.
But I'm a professional, and I felt I owed it to the audience to be honest with them.
Owed them. So let's go past us being stupid. What did you think?
So hard to get past that.
Evil Dead Rise? Because I have some opinions.
All right, I'd love to hear your opinions. Well, I'm a big Evil Dead fan.
Right.
Did you see the remake of Evil Dead that came out 10 years ago?
No, I did not.
But you have seen the original 3 Evil Dead movies.
Yes.
And I've also watched the Evil Dead television show.
Oh, I forgot there's a TV show and there was a game?
There's a game, but it's not like that's
story.
Not
it's just
no.
they use the name kind of thing.
Yeah, you run around and kill each other.
I'm a big fan of the Evil Dead franchise, if you will. The 4 movies that I've seen. I didn't see the remake, but I love the first Evil Dead movie is a top tier movie, IMO. Then they kind of start getting a little sillier as you go on, but I enjoy the silliness. Like the third one, if I'm correct, the third one is where he went back in time.
The third one is Army of Darkness. Yeah, that's correct.
That one I liked, but I liked it for a different reason, not because of the Evil Dead aspect of it. It's just it's a ridiculous movie.
Yeah, I sort of feel the same way as you. Evil Dead 2 is my favorite. To me, that's one of the best horror movies of all time. I think for me, Army of Darkness got too silly.
Right.
Evil Dead 2 is the right amount of silly. Now, this new Evil Dead, and same thing with Evil Dead 2013 version, both of those, I think, are much closer to the first Evil Dead movie. They're not really, in my opinion, very campy or jokey at all. They're pretty serious, and they're more about genuinely horrifying you than making you laugh.
This movie, it was scary. It was frightening. It had its moments. I wouldn't say there was too many jump scares. Like
No, I
it
don't
didn't.
think so.
It didn't really do the typical jump scare thing to just scare you. It kind of like it sucks you into it.
Yeah, it sucks you.
It sucks you. The movie just
into it.
Right.
I really liked it. I did really like Evil Dead Rise. I think I liked it more than the remake for sure. I definitely don't think that, it's not as strong to me as the original movies because it's just so hard to. You can't replicate what Sam Raimi does in those movies.
Right. And I also think a little spoiler alert about this entire segment. Just if you haven't seen the movie yet, just skip past. We'll let you know when to start listening again. But I think a little bit that took me out of this movie was the location. They didn't really leave like 3 or 4 rooms in this apartment complex because it took place in the boys' bedroom, the living room or the main part of this apartment, and the parking structure.
Yeah,
right.
In the hallway.
Right, but
we can just say yes. It was yes. You don't. It's not like a Die Hard where you're moving between air vents to different apartments or going out in the fire escape, or it's mainly contained to an apartment building.
But even
an apartment.
Right. But the original Evil Dead, they were like, it was the cabin, it was the woods, it was like you were engulfed in like this entire area, which was very much of its time too, because like a lot of these were like cabin in the woods type of movies, which this was.
Sure.
But by them not leaving the apartment building and having a relatively small cast, it felt like a COVID movie. Like an in the bubble movie, which isn't bad because I do like movies that are very small like this. I forgot the one with the recent movie with Adam Driver.
65, the dinosaur movie?
That was it was a big like world, but a very small cast.
There's only 2 people basically.
But so like it was like that kind of vibe, which is a vibe that we're having now with movies where it's like we realize we don't need 400 extras to make a movie good.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think you're onto something, but you kind of could say the same thing about the first 2 Evil Dead movies. They are both like 5 or 6 people in the cast, maybe a little more in Evil Dead 2. Mm-hmm. And it's not until Army of Darkness when it becomes a ridiculous...
giant, right.
And I feel you on, it might have been fun if you got to see more of the apartment building, but one thing I really appreciated about this movie was that it stuck mostly to the formula of Evil Dead,
right.
But I think the things that really, it did a couple things different. One, the fact that it is in an apartment building, even if they don't leave, it is pretty different from being in the middle of the woods or something.
Right, it's more of like a cityscape than a
it's an
typical
urban environment.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's about a family. So this movie's got little kids in it. It's not just teenagers. And I was watching the movie going, are they going to, usually, even in a lot of horror movies, you usually don't mess with the kids too much.
Not this movie, baby.
But I'm like, there's only like 4 people, so you're going to have to start hurting those kids.
Yeah, and they did. Surprise.
They did, yeah. They don't hold back.
Were there any key aspects to this movie that like stood out to you? Like any scenes that were like amazing to you or kind of weird or that you didn't like or liked?
I guess maybe like a couple of highlights. I think there's some really fun stuff seeing the hallway through the peephole.
That I really liked, and I kind of wish movies did that more. Because like that's kind of a cool thing. Like if you're staying at a hotel and like you don't know what's going on out there. Your door's closed. You go, oh no, yeah, you see that, you see, and like that fisheye effect because you could only see in your field of view. So like you don't have your peripheral vision. You don't have that. So like someone could be right underneath your thing and just pop out at you. You know, like
It's like the cable guy.
like exactly.
Remember when he's at the door and he's like, the cable guy. Anyway.
There. Go ahead. So I asked you. Yeah.
No,
so,
that was it. That was one. That's you know that was
the one thing that stood out to me and I thought was kind of interesting. There's a car in this movie that kind of plays a character, as a lot of these movies kind of do. There's always the car to get away, and there is that scene. It was an old car, like a sub-90s car that at one moment they clicked a beeper and did the boop boop. That car wouldn't have had that. And that bothered me. Like, it's stuff like that yeah, I know, shut up. But, like, that bothered me. And, like, because, like, old, like, or even, like, old tech stuff, it's like, listen, what? Can I help you?
That's pretty dumb.
Stuff like that, stuff bothers me.
You could get a car retrofitted. They could take that to the shop and add beep
You
functionality
can, but,
to
like...
It could happen. Also, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if this is actually true. I might be making this up. But I think that might have, at least, I don't know if it was the car you're talking about, but I think there might have been a car that was like Ash's car from the original movies or something.
Oh, that's cool.
So that might have been, or it's like the same model or something.
And I also like the elevator blood scene. Was very much like a Shining kind of callback.
Of course, yeah.
Which,
yeah.
like,
I mean, it wasn't a callback. It was theft.
Yeah,
but it was fun. I mean, I thought they earned it.
But that scene also grossed me out too because like they're like slipping in blood and it's like it showed how viscous the blood was and like I don't know.
It's gross. It's a dark, upsetting movie in many ways, but not like so upsetting. I mean, if you're a horror fan, it's not scarring in the way that I don't know, to me, like Hereditary or something like that was.
Right. It's not like an emotional damage movie. It's not.
But it's, it goes for it. It's going for it.
Now, one thing we didn't really see in this movie, where we saw, I think, in the other Evil Deads, was there was no, not monster, but there was no creature that was behind it. It was really just the book. And and the building itself had like a spirit to it.
Kind of see what you're saying. Yeah, they've kind of, the lore of the Deadites is sort of changes from movie to movie a lot of the time.
But I don't know about you, but like I kind of like that because like you didn't have to deal with like a cheap makeup effect or like because like sometimes that'll show an age of a movie too. It's like where it's like you see it or a budgetary restriction of a movie where they they can't get the proper makeup done well enough in their budget. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool that there was no like they didn't have a monster.
Yeah,
it was a building and stuff like that.
It's fairly stripped down. It's a pretty straightforward movie, and it doesn't. There's not a lot of like flashy tricks in it. It really is just stuff it scares you. I feel like the scares are all earned. It's not cheap in any way.
Right. And the what was the other thing? Oh, when, towards the end of the movie, I think when like the lady who was living downstairs came to her car, it was like, oh, there's other people in this building. You couldn't hear that. Like any of this,
they were all asleep.
Because that kind of like took me out too. Because I assumed this building, because they mentioned it. Shut up. This building was like condemned, right? Or like about to be.
Yeah, right. So I think there were very few people in it. I think.
So like I feel like in my head I was like, oh, it's just these people that are in the movie that are still in this building. Because at one point they shoot a lock off. Like you don't like.
Yeah, she had earbuds in. Or how about this? It was Deadite magic.
There you go. Nothing in the floor was...
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. That was Evil Dead Rise. I did really like it. I think it's worth seeing if you're a horror fan. And people can let us know if they like our little mini movie reviews. Maybe we'll do more of them as the summer continues.
Right.
Now, what'd you think about the music in Evil Dead Rise?
It didn't. I can't remember any of it, to be 100% honest with you.
So you wouldn't put it on a playlist or anything like that?
No, I wouldn't put it on a playlist, but I feel like you were the kind of guy who would, and we would have an argument about that.
Well, let's get into it. Let's have an argument about that, maybe.
All right.
Because that brings us to today's case, which does involve playlists. It comes to us from the internet. You can find a link in our episode description.
Yes.
And this week's defendant is Rob. Rob lives with his girlfriend, Lori. So these two cohabitate. And he's got himself, between the two of them, a great sound system, which has speakers throughout all the shared spaces of the home, your living room, your kitchen, your family room, what have you. It's good for parties. It's good for hanging out. You can put whatever you want on, but everybody has to listen to it in that case. And that's what happens one day when Lori puts on a playlist of her own, and Rob objects to the types and the order of the musics that are on this list. So it ranges from country music, bluegrass, to classical Italian music, to hardcore metal, to 80s synth pop. And it's just kind of going back and forth all over the place. And Rob complains to Lori that it's a little bit inconsistent and he would prefer if she would put something on just an album or a more curated playlist of similar bands. And they end up getting in an argument about whether or not this is okay. Lori says these are the songs that she likes. They get her in the mood to get up and move and help her while she's cleaning the house. And they end up getting in a little dispute, but ultimately the playlist remains on. Now, as dual judges here on Geeks on Trial, it's our job to determine whether we buy Rob's sob story or if we think this is a smear job on Lori. That's our job.
Yep.
So let's begin with playlists. Let's begin with the beginning of playlists. This is also our first case where we've really focused on music,
Right.
As an issue. So I mean, we could even, if we want to get real broad, we could talk about music. But I feel like that's a big subject.
Now, let me ask you a question. You and I both enjoy music. We like going to live venues. We like, we're not music haters.
That's right. Unlike some people, we like music.
How do you listen to your music?
Great
Like
question.
in general. Like they mentioned they have a full house sound system. Are you more of a headphone? Are you more of a in the open air? Are you into or on your cell phone? Like, how do you personally consume your music? Not platform, but like in that way.
Yeah, if I'm in my home, I'm definitely opt for speakers.
Okay.
I tend to I don't know if it's a personal thing or if it's just everybody or if it's just because I have weird shaped ears. Here, I'll give everyone a peek.
Oh my, I've never seen those before.
That's what I look like under there. I know, it's freaky. I try not to do it on camera. If you're listening, then you just Google it.
Good luck. Just Google it.
Just Google Geeks on Trial
ears.
You'll find it. I don't love always having earbuds or headphones on for super long periods of time. I kind of like having speakers, so that's my preferred method now. But if I'm out and about, I'll do earbuds, or sometimes if I'm maybe like washing dishes or something.
Oh, because you can't hear because of white
in.
noises.
So, but otherwise, yeah, I'm generally a speakers guy. I don't have a nice sound system or anything.
Right.
But
well, it depends on what I'm listening to. If I'm listening to something while I'm, like, if I'm editing a video, editing photos or whatever, I will have the speakers going. But if I get a brand new album for the first time and I actually want to engulf myself, like, and fully get into it, I will put on headphones because I want to hear everything. Like, and I feel like if you don't have the luxury of being able to turn up your sound system loud enough, or if you live in an apartment or a shared home, having the headphones, you can get the real, like, nitty gritty of the music, which is kind of what I like. But also, like, if I'm in the car, you can't, I don't know if you can wear headphones in the car. I don't know what the legality is of that, but, like, I'll crank my sound system.
Well, you prompted me, you made me think of the car, because I actually think that's maybe my favorite way to listen to music. And it's true, especially when I get a new album. I actually feel like these days I don't know. It's harder for me to. I kind of miss being younger when I think I would more often
Don't we
just
all?
sit. Yeah, for many reasons, but I would just listen to an album,
Hmm.
and especially even like being a kid, on the going on the bus to school or anytime. Just I feel like there were more times when I could just space out and just listen
Right.
to an album and digest it. And a lot of times when I get a new album, even if I listen to it a couple times at home, the way that I kind of give it the real test drive to see how much I like it is going for a ride somewhere in the car and getting. I think my car has definitely has the best sound system of anything I own.
Well,
Like
that
that's
makes
where I get
sense
the best
because
music.
you're like in a house, an apartment, in an office, you have things that can echo off of it, and in a car, it's not soundproof, but there's sound dampening. You have seats, you have leather, like
You're
there's stuff that
enveloped by it.
and they're basically perfectly pointed at you to listen to it while you're driving. So like yeah, but do you playlist?
Here's the thing. I do not playlist. Now I have made playlists. I like to make playlists, like sometimes just for people, or in college I had a radio show
Mm-hmm.
every week, and so I basically
Made a
for
play.
however many weeks, yeah, it was a playlist every week, and often I'd do a theme, and it'd be like, oh, I'm gonna just find every song in my library something to do with animals or colors or whatever stupid
Right.
thing. And I actually really enjoy that process. I really enjoy, you know, the process of I'll listen to one song and go, all right, what's like the perfect transition track?
Right.
And you can't put like, and maybe we'll get into this. When I make a playlist, I'm thinking, all right, I gotta have, it's got to, if there's like some tracks are really intro tracks and some tracks on albums are like closers. And
Interesting.
I feel like I won't put three closers on an album, or unless maybe I'll have, oh, this feels like an intermission or something. I really try to
Ooh, you get
piece it through in my head.
you
Yeah.
get deeper than I ever would. But I do that with shows and movies. Like I do that kind of same thing. Like if let's say we're watching two or three shows, random shows, I'll put like a high energy one, and then like I know if I'm going to sleep after the show, I'll put like a more of a mellow show into that, or mellow thing into that.
Will
to,
you
like,
watch
end our night.
like Rosemary's Baby, and then your
Right.
next movie's like The Jerk or something?
Yep.
Like you just, you know,
And then the
because
last movie is just a silent
it's
movie.
1976, of course.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
and
good.
well, I just wanted to put a cap on what I was saying is, while I do love the act of making the playlists, when I'm personally really just listening to whatever, I almost never go for that. I usually am listening to albums,
Like as in a full one
like
to
start
12.
to finish. I just listen to an album. I know
See,
that I feel like that's an old-fashioned thing these days, but
it
that's how I've
is,
always done it.
and it isn't, because like I feel like the act of albums is dying, because like people just release singles to YouTube or Spotify or wherever you get music now. But like for me, it's a time constraint. I can't really like sometimes an album can be, I mean they vary, but like between 30 minutes and an hour. Like it's like, do I have an hour to set aside to just listening to one album start to finish? A lot of times for me, when I'm working or doing whatever, I don't make playlists. But what I do is I make Spotify or channels, I guess, because I'm a big radio person. I like the randomness.
You got a great face for it.
I've heard that before. Thank you. And so a lot of times I'll like just listen to a Pandora mix, and I'll open that Pandora's box of like whatever they're going to give me, because
I see what you did there.
I like the randomness, but I like having it like the Weird Al channel. Okay, what other songs am I going to learn from?
I'll sometimes, when I will do that is when I'm going to sleep. I'll just tell my device, which I won't name. I'll
Thank you.
just say, play, play some soft piano songs or
Right.
whatever. Because so I shouldn't. It's not like I never will do that kind of a shuffle experience. Sometimes I like that, or like if you're hanging out with friends. You know, or I'll go to for me a lot of times is just 90s pop.
Right, because it's good background music, and that's where I think music is for me is background.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
like,
it's interesting because that's how I kind of feel. Even you were saying, oh, it's hard for me to put 30 minutes or an hour to an album, but I guess I will often view it as like the album is on in the background, and I might pause it at 30 minutes and do something else. I'm not thinking like as much I'm like I would with a movie. Oh, I need to set aside 2 hours to watch this. I'm more like I'll play a little here, I'll play a little there.
okay.
But I mean, depends. It depends on what I'm doing.
Now, do you like when you're doing things around the house? Like you mentioned dishes. Are you more of a music, TV, podcast person, or do
The
you
truth
just...
is, I'm more of a podcast person.
Right.
That's probably what I'm listening to. Honestly, I feel like I listen to a lot less music now than in high school and college, and I think part of it is because podcasts exist.
podcasts and also on-demand video? Because when we were in high school and college, you had to watch these videos these shows, videos, whatever, while they were on, or you didn't see it. Now you can just fire up a full season on demand and watch it. So like that's where I think music kind of like took a back burner to me. And even while driving, like me and my partner get into this argument when we go on road trips. He needs music while he's driving to keep him active, keep him awake, keep him going. Where I can listen to a podcast while driving, and that would just put him to sleep.
Yeah, you probably don't want to do that, I guess.
Right. Well,
I think another aspect of it for me is podcasts. I have a backlog of podcasts. Mm-hmm. So if I have time to listen to something and I'm not clearing out my podcasts, then I feel like I'm failing. Like I'm guilty of not getting through it. Because music, the bands I like, a new album will come out once every like 3 years. Right. I can listen to it once and I don't need to worry about.
And you're also not, it's not like a time constraint. Like you're not going to miss, like if you miss a movie podcast, you're not going to miss the movie news. You're going to miss the movie news. Where like, you're not going to get, like a song isn't timely. I mean, it's timely, but you know what I'm saying? It's not, you can listen to it now. You can listen to it in 10 years. It'll be the same,
So let's just get back to the playlist thing. We've talked about maybe you're a little more into playlists on one end. I like making them. We have varying opinions there, but I was saying, I get into it. I kind of try to find, and maybe this is more to our defendant Rob's liking, more of the perfect seamless transitions and segues between songs. I kind of usually want things to blend together, at least from song to song. Like if I have a really sad song, I will try not to sandwich that between two super upbeat, fun, happy songs. I'll maybe want like a sad song, and then this one's a little less sad, and then there's some happy ones or something, just so it's not. That's almost maybe that's different from Rob's complaint, because it's more like I don't want songs together that are too samey either. Like I don't want to. So I kind of try to do a mix of both. I don't want it to be like jarring, but I also don't want just one tone. Like I feel like if you're gonna make a playlist, then there should be different tones, because otherwise, why not just listen to an album? I don't know. That's kind of how I feel.
Well, I like even like so. When
What's
I
your
go
philosophy?
when I go to the gym and stuff, and like I make a playlist, I want like an you want an upbeat thing. Like you don't want to be running on the treadmill to like
if it's for a purpose like that, yeah.
Right, you don't want like opera while you're on a treadmill. You don't want you want like dance, disco, like stuff like that. I guess for that case, if I did make a playlist, I would stick to an upbeat kind of thing. But like if I'm at home, I'll put on, like a slower paced thing when I'm like chilling, or, a lot of times now I've been going to YouTube. They have these like classical jazz stations where it's like they're doing a live thing where it's like it's a radio station on YouTube.
Do you listen to the lo-fi girl beats?
That's
or
what I'm
whatever?
talking about, like that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like it's all owned by I forgot who the big name in music is that like licenses out to radio stations. Like it's like
Music.
BHI or BH something.
Oh, BMI?
BMI.
That's body mass index.
But you know what? But you get what
is
I'm.
it BMI? I don't know.
It might be. I don't know. But
Yeah. Well, so and I think when I'm thinking of playlists, I will say I may be guilty of the playlist that I make. I feel like I'm envisioning some ideal scenario where you're like on a road trip and you're really absorbing the music like it's a play or something.
right.
And probably a lot of people will make playlists more geared towards what you're saying, which is this is for the gym, this is for the office, this is for whatever. And in this case specifically, it was for cleaning around the house.
Right.
So in that case, for me, I would probably just kind of do just generally upbeat. I'd probably default to the '90s pop thing again.
Right.
Is like would that what would your cleaning playlist consist of? Anything specific, or would it just be like music you like?
It would probably just be like music to trick me into doing something I don't like to do. So like you want that like the music to
cleaning is cool and fun. Do it.
What? Sing it. What is that?
You don't know that one? It's Beyonce.
Oh, okay. But like I want the upbeat because like if a sad song comes on while I'm trying to clean or trying to do something, it's going to put me into like, oh, I don't want to do this. So like I want I guess it might be the
You're listening to Enya and you're just like, I just want to take a bath and light some candles.
Just mopping and crying. But like, yeah, because it might be also the ADHD in me too, because like I want something to like make the time go by, make something that like that it'll like a boppy mix, like a upbeat kind of doing stuff, making my not my heart rate go up, but
making
like,
your way downtown, walking fast.
Who sings that song?
Alicia Keys.
Sure.
Right. Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, is that where? Yeah, the music videos. Yeah. Oh, we've just been. And that's the copyright claim. Sorry, guys.
They can't tell what that is. I'm far too off key.
But yeah, so like, I don't know. I do agree more with the girlfriend.
Okay, so let's get into it. So you're fine with a playlist that's bouncing from, again, like heavy metal to country to classical to jazz.
Right, because
you're
like
cool with it.
That's more of a background song. Like she's not sitting there, like she's doing something else. Her mind isn't on the music. It's just on, there's something going on. It's a high beat. It's like maybe her, it's an all-time favorites mix. Let's go with that. Like that's kind of what I'm getting the vibe of with that. That's her all-time favorites. Let me put this on. Let me get done what I have to get done. Where Rob is kind of going, well, it has to be planned out. It has to be this. It has to be like, he's putting, I feel like, too much thought into what would just be like a background station.
Yeah. I'm a little bit split between these two schools of thought right now because I think I'm more aligned with Rob in what I feel innately a playlist can and should be. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like I wouldn't necessarily... I could see myself also listening to a playlist that, like you said, was just... Well, these are just the theme is my favorites. So It's just... But maybe I also just don't have as wide-ranging musical tastes as Lori does. So... it might be, maybe it's hard for me to imagine because I tend to, I generally like kind of indie rock and pop stuff.
Comedy like that. Yeah.
So I'm not going to have the metal to jazz.
Right. But like when you
back.
get into the car, do you ever just like throw on the FM radio and let them decide your road trip?
Sure. But I will usually listen to, I mean, if we're assuming, normal radio, it's like either a pop station or a rock station. It's
I guess you're right. That would just be like a high, like it would be all the same thing.
Or like Sirius, they're even more catered. They're like, you know exactly what you want right now.
But I'm getting like two different personalities from this couple. Like, he seems like he has, like, 3 genres that he likes, and that's it. Where she is more of, like, an open-minded, I'll listen to this, I'll listen to that, I'll listen... Because, like, occasionally, while I'm editing a video, I'll put on traditional Indian music. Like, I'll go... Like, I'm all over the place with stuff. Like, the other night,
Sure.
we were talking, and in the background, I just had, like, a... It was Renaissance Fair radio on Pandora. And it was just, like, traditional, like... Like the harpsichord or the whatever music.
Yeah, the lyre, the lute,
Right.
and the lutefisk.
There you go. But like that, like I'm very random when it comes to that kind of stuff. But once again, I guess it will be stations. Because like Pandora station is one station, and I've been using the same Pandora account for like 10 years. So like, they're kind of like intertwined, or they're kind of like slimmed down. Like my Cake station will be mainly Cake songs with a few weird stuff. Weird Al station will be, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, my Pandora is mainly made up of like the song chord song that Neytiri sings in The Way of Water. A lot of James Horner score stuff. That sound you heard was Ivan's head hitting the microphone.
That was me signing, ripping up my contract. I'm leaving.
Because of Pandora, because of the Avatar films. Anyway.
Oh, I thought you meant the bracelets. Pandora bracelets.
Oh, yeah, that is weird, right? There's 3. How many freaking Pandoras are there?
Let's see, there's Pandora's box. There's
Right.
Pandora the movie. There's
Right.
Pandora bracelets.
Right.
Pandora the music station.
Right.
Pandora who subscribes to
No,
our
no.
channel.
Oh. Okay, yeah, her too. Like you're saying, yeah, there's 2 personalities here. I do think that Rob is approaching this from a place of, he is maybe thinking too hard about the music, and it is important to note. You kind of said this in the case file. It's said that Laurie accuses him of just listening to the same 3 bands all the time.
Right.
So,
which can
maybe
get
that's part of it.
annoying. Because,
Sure.
sure, it may not be the same 3 songs, but when it's like the same 3 bands, there's going to be a lot of repeat. And a lot of, like, not emotion repeat, but like a style genre repeat. Because usually one band sticks to the same kind of, like, thing. Like, all the Beatles songs kind of sound roughly the same. It's kind of like the same genre.
Well, that might be a...
well, yeah.
Please don't start it. We're going to get emails about that.
I didn't talk about the Insane Clown Posse. Come on now.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think if this were me, if I were in Rob's shoes, first I would be like, these shoes don't fit.
And then you'd be fighting a guy named Rob who'd be like, hey, stop stealing my shoes. These are mine.
And then I'd walk a mile, and I'd be like, now I see why you didn't want me to wear these.
And then you'd walk 5,000
I
more.
stretched them all out.
500
Yeah.
more? 5,000.
Yeah, 5,000 more, and then isn't there? What's the other? Isn't there
And
another
then,
Alicia Keys?
those shoes were made for walking, and that's just what you did.
Exactly. And then I would come back, and finally, what I would say to Lori is, maybe I don't love your playlist philosophies, but I would probably just kind of make fun of her. Like, I don't think I would be like, change this. Well, I mean, in like a...
I would mock her.
Like in a lighthearted, like, this is a goofy-ass playlist, what are you doing here? But it wouldn't, like, bother me, I don't think.
Right.
Maybe the compromise here, what I would do is I would say, hey, what if you let me go through and the songs that you like, it can still... I guess like what I said before, I'm fine with having all different genres. I would prefer it if there were some sort of connecting tissue between them. And I could see getting whiplash of going back and forth from such disparate genres, like one right to the other.
So what you're saying is it's fine that she has her choices as long as you can control them.
Yes, essentially what I'm saying is a woman's choice should be controlled by a man.
Okay. Huh. I mean, well, you're in the right country for that.
I don't want to be misconstrued. I think I
Right.
was clear on that. I think the people will know what I'm saying.
Now, okay, let me ask you this. If you're in a new relationship and this was a thing, would this be a deal breaker?
No.
Is music like your tastes in genres and stuff, is that something you think about when having
Not
that kind of thing?
really. No,
Okay.
I mean, no, I don't. I mean, especially because I'm not like a, it'd be one thing to talk about another discussion maybe if we're talking about movies or something, but I'm not such a music snob or
Right.
music's in terms of media that I consume. I love a lot of music and a lot of bands, but it's not really my passion
Hmm.
the way other stuff is. So that's not really something that I
And you're like
worry
open
about.
to a lot. Like you listen to and watch a lot of different like things from
I'm
everywhere.
pretty, yeah. I don't have a
You
strong
are.
even in music. Thank you. I don't really. I'm not listening to like death metal or that kind of like
But
super
you
hard music.
but you have, and like if it was okay, like if it came on, you wouldn't be like, "Oh, change that. I don't like it."
I probably not. I don't. There are some of those that I might. That is a genre that I might be like, or like it's a cliche to say, but I actually like some country music is good, but that is depending on what kind of country music they listen to.
Or like the weird, like when it's like, "Oh, I listen to noise music," or like there's like that weird,
Right.
or Yoko
There's
Ono. Like there's.
there's certain things that I might object to, but
Right.
they're probably not so meaningful that I'm really thinking about that.
Now,
I don't
something I
know.
want to take another look at in this case is the Full House audio system. Now, whoever owns the house, owns the sound system, or if they own it together, it's usually somebody who is a music lover, somebody who is really into music, who puts the money out to own this kind of big sound system like this. Because like for you
Hmm.
and me, like we're movie and TV lovers, we're gonna put our time and money into a TV and like a projector and stuff like that. So like it seems like one of them is a big music head, and it's like huge. In like music is their, I don't know. It's just,
I think it. I think it's definitely Rob.
but it also seems like for being such a big audiophile and stuff like that, it's like he doesn't listen to like his window of music isn't that wide. I mean, we
Oh yeah,
only have a few select things.
you're right. We don't. That's a little bit speculation or based on what we know, but yeah, that's it's hard. It's hard to comment on. I do want to comment on you talking about the Full House audio system. It's weird how it's always playing everywhere you look. Everywhere is a heart, a hand to hold on to. Did we get a copyright again for that one?
No, because no one knows what that's from. I mean, they do, but they don't. Now, what's the Fuller House theme song?
Is it not just the same thing?
it's probably just a 3-second sting because
I did watch
audio
the
tracks
first
are.
season of Fuller House.
I'm sorry if you're lost.
Yeah, it's like the Lost logo with Fuller House comes
Ba-da-boom.
on. Yeah.
So yeah, so like having a sound system, like once again, assuming they both live together, and this is
They
like
do.
their shared thing, you kind
It
of have
is.
to like take it like it's like sharing a TV. You can't only watch what one person wants to watch all the time. So like he kind of needs to like swallow his pride and be like, okay, she lives here. We are a couple. I kind of need to, accept that she has different tastes and different things than I do. So fine, while she's cleaning the house or, doing household chores or whatever she was doing, I'm going to have to either put on headphones and ignore this music for a little bit or just accept it.
It sounds like you're giving a verdict.
Yeah. Do you want to get into the
Yeah, go ahead. You might as well just finish that thought.
So who it's
We're judging Rob. We are judging Rob for is he guilty or not in the act of criticizing his girlfriend repeatedly for the makeup of her playlist.
I believe he is guilty because let her, you cohabitate. Let her have some freedom into what she wants to listen to, and I'm sure she listens to what you want to listen to. I'm sure it's not like a only playing my playlist all the time kind of thing. It's not like that's how he sounds in the case summary. So, yeah, guilty.
All right, that's one guilty. For me, this is somewhat complicated, and ultimate part of me wants to say not guilty, almost just, because I like to be a contrarian.
Right.
What can I say? I'm just I'm an asshole. Like Dennis Leary, remember him?
Who?
That's my playlist. It's mostly Dennis Leary stuff.
I'm sorry.
The Rescue Me theme song, all that stuff. Now,
mine's mainly Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, I get that. Party all the time.
Yeah.
HTT, which is my new way of saying here's the thing. HTT. If this were a repeat issue,
okay,
that's when I think we might start really getting into an area where Rob's guilt becomes more of a question to me if they're constantly bickering over playlists and she keeps playing these playlists he doesn't like. They need to, I think, maybe come up with like a system of an agreement between them. Or like I said, I think a good compromise is if Rob kind of just helps curate. It's just his job to make the playlist, but he still just tailors them to the kind of music she likes still. Something along those lines. But in the instance of just assuming this is a first-time offense, so to speak, I do think Rob overreacted. And while I think maybe her playlist is at worst funny, I don't think it merits any kind of genuine vitriol or complaint against her. So maybe I'm a little bit more on Rob's side here in terms of his personal playlist ethos. Mm-hmm. But in terms of what he did, I do have to declare him guilty as well.
Right. Because I also see him as trying to be like we don't know the whole thing of him trying to control it. And when you this isn't in his office. This is a full house system that everywhere Bob Saget comes over and I wonder what the sound system or the playlist would be between Bob Saget, Uncle Jesse and Uncle Joey. That would be a mix.
Wait a minute. Are you saying
I
the
don't
two
remember
characters from the show and then Bob Saget, the real person?
Danny Tanner?
That's just, yep, you got it. You nailed it.
So between Danny, Jesse, and Joey, that would be one would be, I feel like one would be all podcasts. One would be like Elvis stuff.
Danny Tanner's listening to NPR. Right. Jesse loves Elvis, of course. And he probably listens to rockabilly right. kind of stuff from the 50s and 60s. Joey's listening to stand-up.
Right. Yeah.
And then those teens are just listening to the latest boy band.
Right.
We settled it. I think that was our case. That
was our case, right? We did the Full House show.
Let's declare a sentence now for Rob. What is his punishment? Does he have to just listen to playlists for a year that only his girlfriend has made, or does she have to curate all the music in the house, or he doesn't get access?
They should have two separate playlists that play at the exact same time.
But this sounds like a punishment for both of them.
Or, yeah.
It's Guantanamo Bay. It's a freaking torture.
How awful would that be, having two songs playing at the exact same time? That would be it wouldn't be good. It would make your brain feel bad. He has to remove his sound system and go strictly to headphones.
Let's try it right now. You sing the Full House theme. I'm going to sing another song, okay? And we'll see if it sounds bad or not.
Okay.
What was the one?
I'm singing Full House.
Yeah, you go Full House.
Everywhere you go. I can't even do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we tried. Listeners like that. So anyway, what was the sentence? Whatever you said.
I think they need to sell the sound system, and they both need to buy headphones.
Yes, it sounds good to me.
It sounds good to you?
That's nice. That's funny.
Thank you.
Listeners, I wonder if our verdict sounds good to you, or if you have a difference of opinion. Are you more of a Rob or a Lori in this instance? What's your personal playlist philosophy?
True.
Send that stuff into us. Our email address is geeksontrial@gmail.com. We've also got a form in our episode description, which you can use to submit your own geeky case, whether it be from the world of music, games, movies, or other. We want to hear your cases. We will try them right here on the show.
love, love other. And if you love us just like you should, please do us a huge favor and head on over to our Patreon and help support the show by giving us your money, because money makes the world go round. That's a song. This is a music episode. Also, if you like listening to things through your ear holes, head on over to our iTunes store, iTunes, whatever, and give us a 5-star rating.
Yeah, leave a review. That would be awesome if you did that. We'd appreciate it. There's also did you say the Patreon already? You did.
Yep, I said the Patreon. Patreon.com/geeksontrial. Give me your money.
Give us that money, folks.
Now, where can folks, when you're not listening to music, where can folks find you?
All right, when I'm not listening to music, you can follow me on Twitter @Quentz. And you can also listen to my other podcast, perhaps while you're doing the dishes or perhaps on your full audio sound system and force your girlfriend to listen to. It is called The Yerky Boys. It's an Animorphs podcast where we discuss the Animorphs book series. And it's available on other podcast platforms just like this one is now.
What? That's insane. You can find me on YouTube. I am The Snack Guy. And this week I have a video where I review German chocolate. That is, it's dark chocolate with strawberries and black pepper. It's weird. It's interesting.
You had me in the first half. Not going to lie. All right, go check all that stuff out and find more places to follow us in the episode description, like our TikTok and all that fun stuff if you want to. Otherwise, we got to peace the F out of here, fellas and fellettes. My name is Jonathan Estes.
I'm Ivan Hahn. And bye.